And right now we've got Stephen Wilcox. Stephen, you are the CEO of Parkit, and your website is parkitmovement.com. All right. First off, stop what you're doing. If you're listening to this conversation, watch this conversation, and go to parkitmovement.com and go check out this chair. It's more than a chair. Stephen, this is a product that has gotten you, golly, man, just shy of $500,000 on Kickstarter. And then on your Indiegogo, which is live as of when we're recording this, looks like another what? Oh, look at that. Oh, man, you're just about ready to hit $500,000 here as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so we launched on Kickstarter back in May during the middle of the pandemic, and we're really nervous about getting a product that's an outdoor associated product to the marketplace during all of everything we've been going through. And the world responded incredibly positive to it. We raised a ton of money on Kickstarter, way more than we expected to, and we're really excited to see what's next for this brand and this company.
No kidding. $1 million crowdfunding campaign. All right. So what I'd love to do is talk about how you were able to pull that. I mean, it's a great product. It really is. So for those who are just listening to us, can you kind of describe what you came up with, and then we'll kind of go through how you got to this point?
Yeah, so we really decided to build the ultimate outdoor recreational use chair. I'm a big surfer. My girlfriend's a big camper. We own our own Sprinter camper van that we take around the country and, go stargaze and chase a bunch of adventures with. And we really just recognized that the majority of the products that existed out there in terms of camping chairs and whatnot were really uncomfortable, super dysfunctional, didn't have the things that we wanted, and they fell apart rather easily. So you're always going back to Walmart or Costco and buying another chair. And we wanted to really build a product that would be durable, long lasting, and have all the functional pieces built into it. And so what we did was we built in a cooler that that's detachable. So it's really two products in one. It attaches to the chair directly underneath your seat for easy access, has the volume of about 24 cans of your favorite beverage. It also has external pockets for your keys, your wallet, your phone. And then it has hands-free carry straps built into it. So that way, if you're going, to and from the car to your spot on the beach or the campground, you can carry everything without having to use your hands. Just sling it over your shoulder and carry whatever else the day demands. And so, we put everything together on Kickstarter. And like you said, we've just been absolutely blown away by the amount of funds we've been able to raise around this product, and can't wait to see what's next for it.
You look at some of the features that are built into this product, and it's almost like you ask yourself, why isn't this already a thing? Why aren't all beach chairs like this?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that we really focused on was just the ergonomics of the chair. If you sit in some of those, standard fold out kind of, I don't know the best way to describe them, but they're kind of like those canopy chairs that if you push in and you push out, they're really bad for your back. They force you to sit in this really uncomfortable position that puts strain on your lower back. And if you sit in some of the other ones, they're really low to the ground, which, depending upon your age and what you've been through in life, like, that's not easy to get in and out of. I know that my parents, for the most part, are really excited about our chairs because they're like, I can get in and out of it like my rocking chair in my living room. It doesn't cause, the possibility of falling while getting into your beach chair to enjoy the beach. So, putting that ergonomic effect into the design process was really good for us as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So, this, your Kickstarter launched in May. What were you doing prior to this great idea where you were going to do a crowdfund for this product?
Yeah. So before we crowdfunded the product, we spent a lot of time really researching and designing the product. I'm not a product designer. I want to point that out. I had the vision for what we wanted to build in my head, but I spent the first year of the business knocking doors of metal welders and different woodworkers, just being like, hey, how do I build this? All of them kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And it wasn't until I put a note on LinkedIn that said, hey, anybody on LinkedIn know how to connect with anyone who's a product designer? And an old coworker of mine from my days when I worked at Oakley on the marketing team there came back to me and said, you need to reach out to these guys at Klugonics. They're a product design firm in Utah, get connected with this guy, Jason, and talk to him about what you want to build. And, for about a year before the Kickstarter campaign, we partnered with Klugonics, and Jason and his team really helped drive the design process to a tangible product and take the ideas that we had and implement them all into this Voyager chair. And so, that's really the first year, was figuring all that stuff out. And then that allowed me to take the time away from product and focus it on marketing and strategy and implement all of those strategies to make sure that this Kickstarter campaign was successful.
Yeah. Okay. So they're doing some prototypes. Is that, how much does that cost to do something like that?
So that was a step, this isn't my first go around with entrepreneurship, but this is definitely my first run with it being successful. And that was one of the roadblocks that we hit, where I went, the prototype for a chair that we're going to sell is going to cost us somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. Like, I couldn't really figure out like why a prototype would cost that much.
Right. You think about like what it cost a chair in the store, and like, how could it be that big of a difference?
Exactly. And you really get like exposed to kind of the understanding, like, oh, so these are my minimum order quantities, and this is where those price breaks happen, and this is how this ties into my pricing strategy. But since we're just going to make one of these, we're shutting down your factory from what you normally do. And then there's the economies of like, this is the money that they're losing for that. And so we hit that roadblock with the prototyping, and I was like, how are we going to do this? And so jumped into kind of the contracting world, and I was working as a website developer and a content creator to make some extra cash and help fund the additional expenses that came through with prototyping. But we went through 3 rounds of prototypes eventually to get to the final product, and every single one sat down and refined and made it more and more perfect to understanding what we wanted within the product, and also field testing it to see how it stood up to the elements.
Yeah. Okay. So they make you one, or did you make a few of them?
Yeah, we made 3 total prototypes.
And so you get them, and what was it? So did they just like ship them to you, or did you show up at the factory and like, okay, here it is?
So they ship them all to us. They would land, Amazon guy basically drops them off. And my girlfriend and I, she filmed every prototype opening, she filmed with the phone. And then every single time we kind of just went ham on it, trying to see which part of it was going to be the first piece to break, trying to understand what people would do. And very quickly we were learned, cool, this is how the straps need to be reconfigured. This is how the cup holder should be reconfigured. This is how this piece should be restructured. This is how the bolts should come together here. And we figured out a lot of those things. The bummer is that at the same time, you're trying to find all those problems because you want to solve them, but you're also going to be using this piece for some of your marketing material. And so you have to find this delicate balance of using the prototype for your marketing material, but also identifying all of the problems without destroying your main marketing asset.
Yeah, right. So you basically broke your 3 prototypes eventually, or?
Yep.
Oh yeah, man, after spending that much money, but you got to know that, because if you go to market with a crappy product, then everyone's like wanting to return them all. It's a nightmare.
Exactly. And so, it's like this double-edged sword where you're like, okay, we need to really figure out all the points in this that we need to improve. Because we want, like, the goal is to build the most durable, long-lasting, functional beach chair. And we have to find all those errors. But at the same time, some of those errors were like, all right, cool. Now we definitely have to order another prototype because we need to solve these things, and we need more stuff for content generation. So, it was definitely had its challenges, but it was also a lot of fun kind of solving all those puzzles and getting all those problems fixed and making the product the way it is.
Yeah. So you get it dialed in, and then you're like, okay, let's go to Kickstarter. And so Kickstarter is not like you just show up one day, fill out a profile and hit publish and go, okay, there it is. Like, you got to you got to think about the whole campaign, and to do $500,000 in sales, I would imagine you put some forethought before you went live.
Absolutely. So that was like I was saying, the benefit of having these guys, Klugonics, help us out was that it allowed me to focus a lot on the strategy and making sure that the Kickstarter was super successful. So one of the things that we really need to focus on for anybody that's looking at doing a Kickstarter campaign is your email list. Like, building a pre-launch email list and keeping those people engaged and telling them the story about you, going from like prototype number one, even all the way down to the launch day. Like if you have people that are engaged with you for that long and are following that story, they feel a part of your story and they want to be part of that success. And Kickstarter and the Kickstarter community itself is a lot of first movers. They're the people who are willing to take that risk and see an idea and understand not just the product, but understand the value behind the mission of the company. And they want to see you succeed. And so there's a lot of stuff that we put into place in the front to kind of tell that story, to really personalize who Parkit is, to personalize what our product Voyager is, why we built it, how it benefits them, the troubles that we came through with prototyping. And you keep that user just really engaged into the authentic story of you building a business. And they eventually, you launch on Kickstarter, and because they've been with you, you offer them a VIP reward for being there before the Kickstarter campaign started. And, right the first day we launched, we raised $75,000 from those pre-launch email subscribers and that community that we had built up front.
That gives you some great momentum for the next part. And what do you do after you get that first wave in?
Yeah. And so after you get that first wave on Kickstarter, you launch and everything, you hit the goal really fast. And, there's an element to Kickstarter where you want to hit that goal within the first day to 3 days. Because what happens is very similar to like a post that uses the right hashtags on Instagram. You'll go trending. And what that means is that your project no longer is it just the Kickstarter link that says your project name, the Voyager that changed the way we enjoy the outdoors. Your product is now on the Kickstarter.com's homepage. Wow. Which means that the entire Kickstarter community, this is all, circling back to you hitting your goal within the first, 24 to 72 hours. That Kickstarter community has a unique visitor of somewhere between 5 to 8 million people per day that are now getting a glimpse of your product that may catch their eye because you're on the homepage. And that's the access to an audience that allows you to go from that 75K in day one to maintaining that momentum over the course of 30 days and reaching 500,000 or just shy of 500,000 within the total duration of the 30-day campaign.
Yeah. So how did that feel when you got that 75K by the end of the day? What was that evening?
Oh my God. Well, my girlfriend and I ordered sushi to celebrate. We had that delivered to the house and we were very excited about that. We really thought we'd be hitting, the 75K mark at the end of the first week based on our ad spend that we had budgeted and our projections that we were looking at. And so to hit that the first day, we kind of were just really it felt surreal. It didn't really feel it felt a bit like a dream in the sense of we were hitting these numbers way earlier than we had anticipated. And I just got to say, it circles all the way back to all the people who helped guide us and steer us in the right direction with the information to make sure that all the pieces of the puzzle were put in place up front. Another thing we did that I didn't necessarily touch on yet is we did a big PR push. And there's a lot of challenges for startups, especially in the Kickstarter and the Indiegogo crowdfunding community to get PR. Because there's elements to these projects where, sometimes they don't come to completion and the promise that the creator presents to the audience, it's not fulfilled. And so we put a huge PR push together and we're actually really lucky to score some features in USA Today. We were featured in Forbes. In fact, Uncrate, which is a big, consumer goods publisher, wrote a really great story about us and how what we've engineered into this product is really just something that, for like you said, how has someone not put all these elements into an outdoor recreational use chair yet? And so
was it you that reached out, or did you work with somebody that had connections or a firm, or how did you do that?
Yeah, so I worked with a friend of mine in New York. Really, really impactful. His name is Julian Thomas. His website is Told by Thomas. And Julian was just fantastic. He really has a great connection with the email list. He really broke down how PR was supposed to work. So I've worked in marketing for the last decade. Always been on the project management and more of the content creation strategy side, never on the PR side. And I always knew PR was important and I knew that PR was something you needed, but it wasn't until working with Julian that I really understood the strategy behind PR. And he not only, helped us by managing those relationships and opening those doors for us, but he also coached us in the sense where now I can take all the learnings from my experience working with Julian and apply them to the business myself. And he knows that, as a facilitator of that, he wants to see companies succeed and then grow beyond, and he likes to help the smaller guys. So, like really, really awesome guy there, Julian.
What happens next for Parkit?
So next for Parkit is we'll be transitioning off of Indiegogo. We'll be continuing to collect pre-orders on our own Shopify site. We've become a certified 1% for the Planet partner. And through that, we've been partnered with, like-minded environmental nonprofits. The one that we've been focusing our relationship with is called Sea Trees. And so we've launched now a campaign where for every Voyager chair that we sell, we'll be planting one tree in Biak, Indonesia, which restores ecosystems. These trees are mangrove trees, and the mangroves actually have a 4-to-1 carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide transition to oxygens versus normal trees. And so we're focusing a lot of that on community building and sustainability, and really, taking the Parkit movement of the brand and really establishing the movement phase. And so we're excited to see that come into more fruition and take more of the spotlight than just our Kickstarter success.
I love it. All right, Stephen Wilcox, Parkit Movement. The website is parkitmovement.com, and you can see it's more than a chair. I feel silly just calling it a chair. It is like, how would you, you've described it, but what category do you put? You put it in the chair category?
I put it in the outdoor recreational comfort chair category, which I am a bit making that up as I go. I think, but for the most part, the goal of our product is to kick back, relax, enjoy the time with your family and your friends in the great outdoors, and be comfortable while you do it, and have all the amenities that you need while you do it. And,
it's all about the experience, the lifestyle. Absolutely.
Exactly. So
Stephen,
excited to see them all over beaches in Southern California. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you know when I see my first one here in Florida.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Stephen, thanks so much.